Hello again, and welcome to episode 2 of AI in Education, Tools and Innovation for Future-Ready Teachers. I'm John.
And I'm Mary. We're both AI-generated voices from 11 Labs, bringing you content crafted by the educational team of the Center for Continuing Education and Lifelong Learning at the International Hellenic University. Today, we'll dive into a topic that concerns every educator stepping into the world of AI, ethics, and academic integrity.
How do we ensure that AI is used responsibly in schools? What's fair, what's not, and how do we talk to students about it?
So, John, let's start with a simple question. What exactly do we mean when we say ethical use of AI in the classroom?
Good one. Because it's easy to think ethics is just about rules or punishments, but really, it's about making thoughtful choices, using technology in a way that's fair, transparent, and responsible.
Exactly. It's not just can students use AI, it's when, how, and for what purpose. There's a huge difference between using AI to find a list of famous rivers and asking it to write your entire geography report.
Huh, yeah. Dear ChatGPT, please pass my class. No, that's not the goal.
Right. Ethical use means students still need to do the thinking. AI can help brainstorm, organize, maybe clarify, but the final work should reflect their voice. Like Elena, who used an AI tool to suggest titles for her short story. She picked one, then wrote the whole thing herself. That's a great example of support, not substitution.
But then there's the opposite case, like a student submitting a full essay written by an AI with 0 edits. No disclosure, no personal input. That's not ethical. It's academic dishonesty, plain and simple.
And that's why we as educators need to talk about this. Not just set rules, but guide students in understanding the difference. Ethical use of AI is a skill, just like learning to cite your sources. It's part of digital literacy now, so let's not frame it as robots are cheating. Let's frame it as how do we use these tools wisely, like we do with calculators or spell checkers?
And how do we teach students to be honest, original, and critical? Not just good at clicking generate.
Now let's talk about a phrase that's getting a lot of attention lately: academic integrity. What does it even mean in the world of generative AI?
In simple terms, it's about honesty, about students doing their own work and being transparent when they use tools like ChatGPT, Grammarly, or even AI image generators.
It's also about fairness. When one student writes an essay from scratch and another submits a full AI-generated version without disclosure, that's not a level playing field. And here's the tricky part. Not all AI use is dishonest. If a student uses AI to check their grammar or brainstorm ideas, and then build something original from that, that can actually support learning.
That's why we need to stop thinking in black and white. Instead, we can guide students in asking better questions. How did I use AI? Did it help me think? Did I still contribute something of my own?
And most importantly, did I tell the truth about it? Because undisclosed AI use isn't just a policy issue, it's a trust issue.
Absolutely. The more we encourage students to reflect, disclose, and take ownership of their process, the more we build a culture of integrity, one that works with AI, not against it.
And let's be honest, as AI becomes part of everyday life, academic integrity isn't just about school anymore. It's about preparing students to be responsible digital citizens. So here's something many teachers are wondering. Can we really detect if a student used AI?
Short answer? Sometimes, but not always, and definitely not reliably.
Detection tools like GPTZero or Turnitin's AI checker can flag suspicious writing, but they're far from perfect. In fact, they often produce false positives, especially for students who aren't native speakers or who write in a clear, simple style.
That's right. Imagine accusing a student just because their writing looks too clean. We risk punishing honesty and rewarding those who know how to hide their AI use.
Plus, students are getting smart. Some use paraphrasing tools or edit AI output just enough to bypass detection.
And that turns teaching into a game of hide and seek. Us chasing the tools, them finding workarounds. That's not what education should be.
Instead, let's refocus our energy on prevention, on building trust, assigning meaningful work, and encouraging reflection and disclosure.
We can still use detection tools as one piece of the puzzle, but never as the whole picture. Human judgment, context, and conversations with students are essential.
Exactly. In the end, it's not about catching students, it's about helping them grow.
So, Mary, let's get practical. What can teachers actually do to encourage ethical AI use?
A lot, actually. First, redesign assignments to focus on process over product. When students have to reflect, revise, and explain their thinking, it's much harder to cheat with AI.
Like asking for learning journals or drafts with comments, or adding an oral follow-up to a written task. Tell me how you approached this. What was your process?
Exactly. And how about this? We teach students how to write an AI disclosure statement, not as punishment, but as part of academic literacy.
That sounds like I used ChatGPT to clarify my outline and check grammar. The main ideas in writing are my own.
Spot on. And when students learn to do that, they're not just following rules, they're practicing integrity.
Another great strategy? Use authentic, personal, or local prompts. It's much harder for AI to write convincingly about your school's recycling program or your own experience in a group project.
And let's not forget peer review. Let students read and respond to each other's work, including AI use. It builds community and raises awareness.
We're not trying to outsmart the AI. We're helping students outgrow their reliance on it.
And ultimately, we're shifting from a culture of punishment to a culture of responsibility. That's the real goal.
Now, let's zoom out a bit. What do school policies say about all this?
Well, the best ones provide more than just do's and don'ts. They offer clarity. They explain what is allowed, what's encouraged, and what's off limits, always with examples.
For instance, a good school policy might say, students can use AI for brainstorming or grammar checks, but not for writing full essays. And all AI use must be disclosed.
And some schools go even further. They provide a disclosure template for students to explain exactly how they used AI, encouraging reflection and transparency.
The policy should also cover data privacy. What tools are approved, whether they comply with regulations like GDPR, and what kind of student data can be shared.
And don't forget equity. Not all students have access to AI tools at home. A strong policy ensures fairness by offering in-school options or alternative pathways. Teachers also need support. Policies should include professional development, examples, and maybe even classroom scripts for how to explain AI ethics to students.
So true. The goal isn't to restrict AI, it's to empower thoughtful, ethical use.
And the more consistent the policy is across classrooms, the better it works. Otherwise, students get confused, and that leads to mistakes.
Good policies create trust. They help schools adapt to change with clarity, not fear.
And of course, policies aren't static. They need regular review. AI is evolving fast, and so should our guidance.
So, as we wrap up this episode, what's the big takeaway?
That ethical use of AI isn't about banning tools or catching cheaters. It's about building a culture of honesty, curiosity, and critical thinking.
As educators, we have the opportunity and the responsibility to guide our students through this new landscape, not with fear, but with clarity and compassion.
Let's talk to our students. Let's ask questions, create space for reflection, and remind them that learning is a process, not a perfect product.
And as AI continues to evolve, so must our practices. Stay informed, stay flexible, and don't be afraid to experiment with new ideas.
In our next episode, we'll explore how generative AI and classroom chatbots are transforming teaching. Tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude. We'll see what they can do and how they can support real classroom needs.
Until then, thank you for joining us.
And remember, this podcast is powered by AI, but the inspiration comes from educators like you.